Good afternoon, Professor. My name is Alex Easton, and today I'd like to present to you my new company idea, Green Lumber. So let's get started. As you can see, here is our executive summary. Our goal is to create a lumber firm that has green energy, which means we want a net negative carbon emission standard. We would also like to vertically integrate the company, which means that we want to completely control the means of production. This will help reduce overhead and cut out the middleman. We also want to create a distributed network of plantations and mills to make it easier to send our products to the customer. We would also like to create a centralized headquarters for organization and management because we believe that would be efficient. And we would like to fund this through partnerships with existing plantations, mills, and processing plants because I believe they have the industry experience that this company also needs to thrive. In this slide you will see our mission statement. It is that at Green Lumber we want to create the highest quality lumber with the greatest efficiency possible while using environmentally improving methods of production by vertically integrating through the market to minimize overhead and middleman costs to maximize profit. This presentation will mainly focus on the first step that we'll be taking in this company, which is to create a base in the first step in the means of production, which is the commodity production of trees. Our products and services, we'll start out with lumber, which comes in a variety of different breeds, and the reason for that is that it can protect us from diseases destroying an entire farm, and it also allows us to invest in different parts of the market, like hardwood and softwood. Lumber can also be sent to our mills for further production. Once our company expands enough so that we have control of mills, we can further process our lumber by mechanically pulping it to be used for paper, or we can work it into beams and boards, which is important for construction. Eventually, we'd like to grow to also control our own distributed network, where we will take advantage of operations research methods like the transportation problem. When it comes to pricing, we'll have to follow the market because lumber is a commodity, which means that it has to be sold at market value, otherwise you probably will not get any customers. When it comes to advantages and disadvantages, our company has a few. For example, vertical integration is going to be a great advantage to our company because it saves on overhead, it avoids legal issues because we can work in-house as well. Environmentally speaking, if we are an environmental and green company, that means that we can get tax incentives, and it also helps save the world, which is also very important. Although the issue is that being environmentally conscious can also be a double-edged sword because the green companies are also more expensive to run. Another disadvantage we may have is that this company has not created a name for itself yet within the industry. We'll talk about vertical integration, which is simply where a single business controls its supply chain and means of production. This can be a very efficient process, and an example as such is Andrew Carnegie, who used vertical integration in his American Steel Corporation and became one of the richest men to have ever lived. With vertical integration, we also already talked about how it reduces overhead and cuts out the middleman, but we didn't explain that because demand and supply have perfect information about each other because they're within the same company. This means that we can more effectively use methods such as just-in-time because we can rely on ourselves instead of having to trust a different company which may not be as efficient as our own. Where we like to start this business and the partnerships, we believe that the best place to start for this vertical integration is with commodity production. This means we can begin at the very bottom of the chain and move ourselves up in an efficient way. With our market analysis, we'll talk about the general information provided. For example, nearly every state in the Union has environmental tax incentives. Of course, the federal government has their own as well. In addition to that, We know that Canada also subsidizes its lumber industry, which means that this could be an important factor in our expansion. In the United States alone, there are 751 million acres of forest land. 56 of this is privately owned. 251 million of those acres are family owned, and we could take advantage of that when partnering up with different firms. When it comes to the general size of the lumber industry, we can say that it is an extremely large and important part of the American economy. It's actually a bit difficult to estimate the exact size because it crosses so many markets, like home improvement, which is worth an estimated $151 billion. As the economy recovers and construction grows, we can also expect the trend that the lumber industry will grow as well. As the lumber industry grows, we can also say that a well-managed business can easily become profitable, as we will show in our financial analysis. As said earlier, we'd also like to take advantage of family-owned businesses and give them incentives to join our partnership. We could use such tools as increasing their efficiency and also allowing them to become a more powerful force in the market, similar to a co-op. We would like to create several partnerships, as we already mentioned. We'd also like to organize eventually into an LLC or limited liability corporation. LLCs will protect us just in case the company fails, and the liability will not fall on the owners but will fall on the company entirely. We realize in a market as the United States, it's get bigger or die. And the ways that we can grow is to partner up with more firms. We can also give them incentives, as we had already mentioned, but we also have to avoid overexpanding the company, which can also lead to a financial disaster. For our marketing plan, we'd like to take advantage of the already existing marketing firms in the companies that we've taken over. That means that we can combine forces. In addition to that, we'd also like to take advantage of the public media, which has an obsession with the environment that we can use to spread the image of our company. Production of lumber begins with tree farms, naturally. For example, the white pine reaches its maturity at about 15 years. This means that we'll have rolling growth cycles, so 15 acres will yield 1 acre per year if we use these conservative estimates. Staffing in a farm will include 1 farm manager and intern per about 1,000 acres. Their job will be to collect tree seeds and plant them, along with making sure that trees are cut down and inspecting growing trees to check for outbreaks such as pests. When it comes to our profit and losses projection, you may want to pause the screen. Alternatively, you can also see that if you look at the bottom line, our profit continues to grow as we expand because our fixed costs remain about the same, but we keep on getting more farmland, which increases our income. For breaking even, we can say the employees working on management is about $150,000. We also say that there are 2 employees for every 75 acres harvested, which will be $150,000. Equipment and maintenance will be another $10,000. With the rolling growth cycles, we'll yield 1 acre per 15. Tree spacing is about 8 by 8 feet squared, which gives us 681 trees per acre. We'll use white pine for this, which yields about half a cord in volume of wood. The current market price for wood is $385 per 1,000 board feet, and when selling raw wood to the mills, you get it at about 1/4 the market value. Using this information, we'll define our variable as X, which is acres harvested. As we've said, our fixed cost is $160,000, and our variable cost we'll manage is $120,000 divided by 75 times the amount of acres that we're harvesting. Using conversions, we see that 1 harvested acre is about $3,000. In our calculations, we see that we must harvest at least 114 acres a year to stay afloat. This means that our total ownership size must be at least 1,700 acres. As it comes to measuring the overall success of this company, we would like to continuously expand and remain net negative in our carbon output. Furthermore, we understand that there will be bumps along the way, and that success is not a straight line, but can be very messy and confusing at times. Like any business, the lumber industry also has its own risk. Our biggest risk is that we can't get any partners to join us, or that we don't have enough land to break even, because as you can see, we need a fair amount to reach our goals. Other risks involved may be an environmental disaster such as major drought or forest fire, which can follow. Also, pests can destroy entire forests, like the invasive ash borers. In the end, our long-term goals are to reach global market saturation and become a powerful influence for environmental protection. And as stated time and time again, we'd also like to control our complete means of production, all the way from tree plantations, where we will begin, to mills, paper production plants, and distribution. The following links are some of the citations I used for my research into this business. Several of these were very helpful. They include information about how to calculate the volume of a tree, optimal lifespan for trees. They also talk about tax incentives for these companies, along with information about the general market trends in this economy today. With that, I'd like to conclude this presentation. I thank you for your time, Professor. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me at alex.easton@live.com.